Hello and welcome back to the channel with today's self-discovery question: as to what extent are you able to be vulnerable with your emotions? Oh dear. I don't think that anyone wants to be vulnerable or get hurt or feel pain. But that's what happens when you allow yourself to be vulnerable. You've got that possibility. We all love the emotions of being happy. We love the good surprised feeling. But as far as the rest of the emotions, I don't think that we normally like the feeling of being sad or angry, to be scared, disgusted, or even surprised where we're startled or confused. So why is it that we have more negative emotions than positive? Do we really need to experience these other emotions to really appreciate happiness more? Really made me think that if we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and experience the negative emotions, then how do we allow ourselves to experience the positive? Let me put it through as an example. For example, those of you who have lost a pet and feel the pain and sadness, perhaps I felt guilt as I was feeling that I lost my dog, that I wasn't with him and that he passed on a cold wooden floor and not in his comfy warm bed. And that really hurt. That hurt that you feel could stop you from ever having a dog or getting another dog when one passed. But the happiness that I got, that 13 years of love and laughter and affection that I got from him, that unconditional love that you get from your dog, it doesn't take that hurt away, but it does give you those lasting memories and the good times. So the same goes that you wouldn't want to not fall in love, or have a family because one day they could pass. That's inevitable. They will pass. It's a circle of life, and you just hope that you don't have to be there to experience it happen. But the days and weeks and months and years you get with that person outweighs that grief, that pain that is felt when you lose them. Nothing replaces that pain, but you do have memories that you hold, and hopefully they're filled with love and happiness. So, to what extent are you able to be vulnerable with your emotions? For me, when I look at that question, when I first looked at it, I would have said, yep, no problems. I'm pretty open with my emotions and therefore I'm vulnerable. But when I really thought about it, I am open to what I want others to hear or see, not necessarily what I'm actually experiencing. I think there were times when I was a blubbering mess. I had tears streaming down my face, my nose was dripping like a tap. It definitely wasn't an attractive look, and frankly I feel that others don't know how to handle emotions that are thrust upon them from another person, and that person doesn't necessarily know how they're feeling and are able to express it. I think I hide my sad emotions, especially from my family. I want to protect them and I don't want them to feel down or worried about me. This is maybe the case for many people. I remember once, many years ago, that my dad was up in Queensland and his father was passing away, and my mother was in Victoria, and she called me and said, look, she's having these chest pains and everything, and it really sounded like she was having some sort of heart attack. So I called an ambulance, or she called the ambulance. We got her off to hospital. But what came across was all of a sudden I had this oh dear moment that, oh, if something happened to her and she was to pass, then she would know how sad I was. And I didn't want her to know how sad I was. And I was struggling at the time with emotions, and I didn't want her to feel that I wasn't happy all the time. So keeping those emotions, see, I know it's probably not healthy to do that, but I think finding perhaps a friend more to talk to, and then I wouldn't be worrying my parents, that would be probably more what I would do. I think I keep emotions in a lot. I have learnt that my husband, although he's a kind, loving man, he doesn't know how to handle emotions or conflict, mine especially. And when I express them to him, he responds in a way that worsens the situation. He has what I call a foot in mouth disease. So if I need a certain response from him, I have to tell him first what he needs to do and then tell him what I'm feeling. So it's sort of like a reverse role. It's as in you can't just blurt out your feelings. You got to say, look, this is what I need from you. I need you just to listen, or I need you to reassure me, and then let me tell you how I'm feeling. Which means I need to know what I need from him uh, in a way that will make me feel better at the particular time, to be able to relay that to him and to get the response I want. It's sort of like a fake response, but it's what I need. It's much harder to do this when I'm feeling angry or frustrated, especially with him, as it's harder to relay what I need when what I need is when I'm not angry. And how do you relay that when you're angry or frustrated? So I'm if you're trying to keep the peace and you're trying to say, I need you to stop doing something, or I need you to do something because it frustrates me, it's trying to relay that in the moment and not be so frustrated and angry when you're trying to say, this is what I need from you. It's a bit of a conundrum. Therefore, sometimes I find it's probably better not to express those feelings than to go through the process that seems to cause more frustration than anything. I just feel like I'm going around and round in circles with it. So I can be honest to myself about my emotions. Not necessarily honest about my emotions to other people, but I can be honest to myself, which I think is good. I think that my journal helps me with that. I express the negative more in the journal, as it's better to take it out of on the journal than someone else. I'm not perfect with this yet, but I can sort of, if my journal's there, let it all out onto my journal. I think it's healthier for me and probably for the person, especially if it's an angry or frustrated situation. My journal is like talking to someone and having them listen and understand me. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but between my journal and myself, we don't always work things out, but we are able to get everything off my chest or out of my head, down onto paper. If I never read the words, it doesn't matter. They have been said, and when I write them, I feel heard. I can be as vulnerable as I want in my journal, as this is how I'm feeling at the time. I am not necessarily thinking about it. So if I'm frustrated and I say, I just hate the way someone does something, it's frustrating me, I wish they would just, go away or something like that. That's what I'm feeling at the time, not necessarily in the right frame of mind that you would think about it. It's just an impulse at that particular time. So can you actually answer the same question? To what extent are you able to be vulnerable with your emotions? Think about it. Perhaps you need to put something in place, like I have with my journal, to enable you to be more vulnerable and express your emotions in a safe and healthy way. I hope this video was helpful in you finding yourself as much as it was to me. Meanwhile, stay safe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.